Well, if you've seen the financial headlines this week, it's a throwback to the 1980s. New American economy data shows that we are seeing the highest rate of inflation in America since 1982. So cue up the Walkman to Olivia Newton-John and let's get physical because we're taking a trip down memory lane. Economy experts say there is a variety of reasons as to why almost everything these days seems to cost more. But what do we as the average American need to know about this inflation? Is it time to take action on finances? Maybe ease off the credit card ahead of the holiday season a bit? Change our expectations on what we can afford to put on the dinner table? Joe Paris spoke with a Boise financial expert about what you need to know beyond the headlines.
Inflation, inflation, inflation. It's in headlines everywhere this week. But what does it mean?
Well, it's just when there are a lot of people trying to buy a very limited amount of things, then whoever's supplying those things gets to raise prices because there's like, hey, I've got the monopoly on gas. I've got the monopoly on bread, so I can charge a little bit more.
Nick Daniels is a financial advisor for Tree City Advisors in Boise. Inflation jumped in November by almost 7%, the fastest rate since 1982. Daniels explains that the current situation is nothing shocking and is a result of many factors that have been building for years.
What COVID has done and this pandemic has done is basically kind of given the opportunity for inflation to sort of catch up. And so we're seeing like today the news came out, 6.8% year-over-year inflation from November of 2020. Well, it's sort of catching up to us now.
There isn't one reason as to why America is seeing elevated inflation. Supply chain issues, wages, and the global economy are a few main ones. Really important though, how do we get away from inflated prices on just about everything?
It will take a while for the supply chain kinks to get worked out, and it's not because any one politician is going to talk to one politician over here. It's because businesses that want to stay in business and make money by providing the goods, either the raw materials or the manufactured goods that people are demanding, they're going to talk to each other and figure out how to get those deliveries on time and in a cost-efficient manner. It will work itself out, but that could still take, I don't know, another 18 months or so.
So, what does the average Idahoan need to do now? Is there anything? Well, with more expensive goods and lagging wages, Daniel says take a step back and look at your financial situation.
Let's keep it real simple, and you need to dial in what are your expenses and what are the areas that you could hit the pause button on maybe for a while just to have a little bit more cash cushion on the side, because I mean, we're feeling it. Every time you go to fuel up your vehicle, you see it. Every time you go to the grocery store, you see it. Every time you're paying your utility bills, you're seeing it right now. And so you might just have to make some temporary short-term changes.
But it does seem like this would be a good time, especially for young adults who may have never gone through this, to sit down and say, okay, let's take a look at our finances and let's make some real adult decisions here.
Yeah, adulting's not always fun, but you got to do it. And the thing is, if you're proactive, it's far easier to make the right decisions now rather than being reactive.
What about Idahoans that are keeping a close eye on their investments and retirement? To be honest, people will see media reports about the economy and panic, thinking it's time to act. Daniel says avoid that train of thought.
Honestly, stay the course, because over the long term, you're going to be very glad that you didn't react to the news and the media about inflation and you just stayed the course, investing on a monthly basis for that 15, 20-year retirement timeline that's ahead of you. Stay the course. Emotions are incredible servants, but they're terrible masters. So don't let your emotions master you. Just stay the course with your investing, with your financial planning, and most likely you'll end up all right.
He's full of all kinds of sage advice, isn't he?
Yeah, smart guy.
I know. We were told months ago that this was going to be temporary. This inflation thing, as we come out of the pandemic, was going to be temporary. I mean, you could still call it temporary because we could always go back the other direction. But that's neither here nor there. What's going to help is kind of wages catching up with that. Is that going to be happening anytime soon.
Yeah, and that's something that it's kind of wait and watch, Brian. And this has been really a series of dominoes that got knocked over to really lead up to the point where we are right now. And Brian, as we were really heading into the year 2020 pre-pandemic, there were stuff that was going on in the global economy in terms of also what does U.S. manufacturing look like compared to the international manufacturing things. When you add a pandemic to all of this, it kind of complicates all the things. So the economy, as Nick explained, is really a big engine, and for it to get knocked down and really stop suddenly in the middle of the pandemic last year, it takes a lot of time for that engine to start revving up and get rolling again. And we're seeing some of the consequences of COVID and the pandemic and the pandemic economy. But at this point, Brian, we are waiting for the wages to really match up with the rate of inflation. Because at this point, if you're making $1 an hour, just for easy math here, well, your dollar per hour is not going to go as far if you're seeing 6, 7, 8% increases on everything across the board. And at that point, you have people looking for new jobs, and you have issues where you can't fill all the holes as really the water's coming out of the boat, so to speak.
And you can't ignore the fact that higher wages that we're starting to see out there also adding to higher costs of products.
Yeah, because local companies, if they have to pay employees more, they're going to have to start charging for their service for a little bit more. I know you've probably seen it in restaurants. I know we've seen it at the gas pump. That's really one that's obvious to look at. But as you heard Nick explain, it's going to take a little bit of time. So take a step back and really evaluate, according to him, your financial situation. And be honest with yourself is something that he also said.
That's true. Big dominoes have to fall. It's still temporary. We'll hope and see. All right. Thanks, Joe.